Hey, good morning, everybody. Listen, I want to talk about how our past experiences have an impact on our ability in business if we allow them, or how subconsciously there's patterns of how we do and live our life that are affecting our business, but we believe that it's just that we're either not motivated enough, we don't know what to do, we don't have a plan, we don't have a path. It's connected to there's times in our life where things happen, where we experience things. And when we go to execute, when we go to build and do the things in our businesses, we project that experience onto our potential customers, colleagues, and people that we work with. And so we're believing that we're going to experience the same event, the same thing that happened in the past in business, that we're going to experience the same thing with these people that we're working with. And so that belief it's a lie. It's based on what happened to us. There's zero truth behind or fact behind believing that that's going to happen now. Because you can't know that that's going to happen. But we project what we experienced in the past onto our present reality, and we choose to not do things to try to avoid feeling or experiencing what we felt in the past. We have to go through this process mentally. We have to look inside of ourselves and say, okay, what am I believing about this next thing that I need to do in my business? About what might happen if I do it wrong, if I mess up, if I make a mistake, if I don't do it all perfectly. What happened when I was, in this situation or that situation where I didn't do something perfectly and somebody either treated me in a certain way, said something, or how am I being critical of myself and holding myself in almost abusively, meaning self-abusing yourself mentally, saying, you're worthless, you're bad. All of that is a form of self-abuse where we tell ourselves that our value is equated to doing something in a certain way, that our worth is equated to doing something in a certain way. And so we choose to not do what's going to help us in business, in life, because of how critical we are. And we're repeating the voice that we had in our past. We're repeating the voices of people in our lives. Could be a parent, could be a teacher, could be a boss, could be something like that. And so this loop gets us in this pattern in our minds. We're going out there to build a business. We're going out there to build something. And we have this critical voice in the back of our head that's us, telling us that we can't do the thing that we're setting out to do because XYZ isn't in order, because XYZ isn't perfect. And so we believe and we have a story in our head about what it means to go out there and build something. And we get locked into our safety zone, our comfort zone. We get locked into what we know how to do. We get locked into what's certain, and we never take a risk because what happened last time you took a risk? Well, you got hurt, you got burned. So we never want that to happen again, so we choose to not take risks. We choose to not build something. We choose to not learn something new. We choose to stay in what we know, stay in what is comfortable, based on these past experiences that we're projecting onto our present moment. And so we have to take a look at that. What are those experiences? And many times we have to almost be another parent to ourselves. Think of yourself. How would you mentor yourself, parent yourself, reparent yourself through this? Let's say that not you, but somebody that you know was experiencing this and saying, well, I'm going through this. How would you comfort, direct, influence, guide, and lead that person to do the most loving thing for themselves in that moment? What is the truth that you would tell that person? And then ultimately, when we connect with in our spirit, what is the truth that God says about us? We connect with that. What is the truth? What is the lie that we're believing from our experience that we had that is replacing the truth that God says? When we bring this in, when we believe the truth, now we have a framework to execute in business, in life, in relationships. Our framework comes from truth, not past experiences or lies that we are telling ourselves, not the critical squawk box in the back of our head that's telling us you're not good enough, well, you can't do this, well, people are going to think this about you. That worry, that fear. Have a conversation as well with that critical side of yourself, the way that you would maybe, Have some real talk with yourself about how you're talking to yourself. The things that you say to yourself are influencing your choices, your decisions, and your actions. Are you being loving to yourself, or are you being critical, hateful, harmful, abusive? I know I've been very abusive to myself, the way I talk to myself in the past. And I was always afraid of doing the wrong thing, saying the wrong thing, afraid of doing what I know I should do, but because of the risk and the responsibility, I was not ever doing the things that I know that I was called to do, that I needed to do, to go after my goals, because of the critical nature of how I was talking to myself. And it wasn't fair to me, and it wasn't fair to anybody else that engaged with me, because then they were having to validate me. Other people were having to validate that I was good enough. Other people were having to be my mentors. Other people were having to be my guidance. Other people, I was in codependent relationships with people telling me, oh, you're good, you're good, you're good, you're good. And I was looking for validation from other people, validation from customers telling me, oh yeah, you're good, this is good, this is good. My worth, my self-worth was coming from what other people were saying about me. Instead of having belief and conviction in myself, listen, I know that I'm on the right path. I'm doing the thing that I was called to do. Nobody can tell me otherwise. I don't need anybody's permission to go be who God called me to be. And I can walk in boldness and confidence. Now, how does that apply to business? You might be like, oh, it's a bunch of woo-woo mindset crap, right? That might be what you're thinking listening to this. Or maybe you clicked off this video. There's a number of people that turn this video off early because they're like, well, this isn't about business. This is just woo-woo. No. This applies to business because you're coming from that foundational framework in every action, decision, and choice that you make in your business. And so if your framework is critical, negative, hateful, harmful, abusive, you're not going to be able to do the things that you want to do. You might be able to do a little bit, and I've seen some very successful people that do that, but they're working 1,000 times harder than they ever should because of that framework. We can accelerate ourselves forward. We can accelerate our output. We can accelerate our performance by not being so critical, by being loving to ourselves, by being supportive of ourselves and our goals in the way we talk to ourselves. And that directly impacts our choices, our decisions, and our actions that we make in business, and how we communicate with other people, how we walk in confidence, our belief systems, our beliefs about ourselves, our beliefs about making money, our beliefs about interactions with people. It all trickles down from this place. How are you talking to yourself? What is your self-talk? Pay attention to that. If you need to change some things, it's okay. Be willing to admit, hey, listen, I haven't been talking to myself in a loving way. And then change it. Ask yourself this, what would be the most loving thing for myself in this moment? How would I talk to myself in a loving way? What would that look like? What would that feel like? Why am I afraid to do that? Why am I afraid to do that? I talk to people so often, they're like, well, I'm afraid that I would just be a pompous, arrogant jerk if I started loving myself. Maybe that's been a pattern in their life. Maybe that has been a pattern in their life. So that's where then you need to look at yourself and say, well, we're not going to do that. But we're also not going to be hateful against ourselves. We're not going to be abusive. We're not going to be the pompous, arrogant jerk against ourselves and knock ourselves down and push ourselves down in life just to feel like, I'm pious. I'm holy. I'm good because I'm doing this. It's a pattern that people get in. It's a pattern that we need to break. And when we break that pattern, we start communicating in a loving way to ourselves and other people. The overflow, the love that we bring to other people, the actions that we take come from the overflow of being filled up inside of ourselves and flow out into every other area of life, including business, including relationships, including health, wealth, all of that. So today, write some things down. What are you telling yourself? What are the beliefs that you have? What is the truth? How would you comfort yourself? Not pacify or not be authoritarian, but what is the truth? Maybe you don't know what that is. Maybe there's some deep feelings that you've been avoiding feeling or coming face to face with for a long time. Write some of those things down. Nobody needs to see it, but go through this yourself today. and feel some of those painful feelings that you've been stuffing for a long time. When we can feel those things, we can start to tell ourselves the truth about the story that we told ourselves in those moments, and then reprogram neuroplasticity in our minds what the truth is, to replace the lies that we've been believing up to this point in time. And that impacts every single area of your life. So, grow your life, everybody, and we'll talk soon.